but it really transitions through all your videos. I see that. I really do. I mean, I know, like I said, you don't push the Turbo Boost as a beginner bike. You really, it's a joke. It's a joke, everybody. It's not
Hey
something.
guys, it's a joke. Yeah,
It's
if
a
anyone's
joke.
watching
Like,
this, like,
please do not buy a regular Busa or a Turbo Busa
Yeah.
as your first bike, bro.
Yeah.
like that's not a good news. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's a joke, but I mean, like all the stuff that you actually put out, like you can tell your voice changes when it comes to more serious. Like you do the
Yeah.
entertainment, and then there's info. Once it gets to the info, I can tell the voice change, and that's stuff I pick
Yeah.
up, and I think a lot of people pick that up. But I just think it's cool that you have you can almost feel your body language change during your videos,
Yeah.
and the principle base.
Well, thanks. It's funny. I've seen some comments of people being like, "Oh, he should put like a disclaimer that you shouldn't get a Turbo Boost as your first bike." But I'm like, I kind of think more of my audience than to put a disclaimer. I feel like, my audience has at least enough intelligence to know that that's obviously a joke and a bad idea. And like, to be honest, part of me feels like if you genuinely think getting a Turbo Boost is a good starter bike or an R1 or something like that. I don't think I'm going to be able to convince you otherwise.
That's
a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
So.
And that goes back to the comments, man. I can't. I have a tough. I don't even know if I should bring it up.
Dude, it was fun because you put out that video recently with talking about our stuff, the 7 things noob riders do, and honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, like he's gonna roast me, like he's we messed up or something happened. I was really glad when I watched it. It wasn't like that. It was just like I thought you did a great job. You kind of went through point by point. I love the thing you said about the wheelies. You're like, I'm not even touching wheelies.
That was great.
Yeah.
But speaking of the comments, like I normally wouldn't do this, but I liked going through the comments on your video because it was about us and just kind of like addressing some things that people were saying about the channel and the brand that I felt were like a bit unfair, and I wanted to kind of jump in there and try to ameliorate that, and I wouldn't say save my reputation, but just try to like manage my reputation in the comments a little bit, because it does get a little bit rough. Because again, like you said, some people think that the Turbo Boost, I'm being serious about it, or some people think that I have like, I'm too goofy to be giving serious motorcycle advice, but I like what you said, where it's like there's a place for all that stuff. The internet's a big place. Like there's a place for serious motorcycle safety stuff. There's a place for goofy motorcycle stuff. So I think, it's not a zero-sum game.
No, and the one thing I really like, and I mentioned it in the video, is the infotainment. And when I'm looking up learning models and how people are, associating certain things with their real life, and that's kind of how I want to teach. I'm really, a lot of it boils down to making it fun for them, making them want to learn. And especially as adult learning principles, I mean, they have to want it to be able to learn it. And if you can catch their attention for, let's say, a top 10 list, and you catch their attention easily for the first 5, I mean, you just taught them 5 things. I mean, even if they don't stick through it, I mean, they learn 5 things because they're having a good time. And that's what I really like about what you're doing. And you're focusing on certain things that people will look up because they're like, I want to buy an R3. What about this? What about that? And you made a list about it. And they hear the fun stuff, and then they still see some stats, but then it's fun, and we're off to the next tip. And I think that's really good. I like that. And I would like to incorporate more of that, but then I also noticed that that's your personality. And if I try to do something that's exactly like you, it's not going to work. So I just kind of stick with.
But I think you have, quite a bit of that flair to you as well. I can see there's like a nugget of like, wanting to have fun. Because you mentioned that in your rider courses that you teach, like in person, you do a lot of that more fun stuff. And I'd love to see that come through in your content more. I think that'd be really cool.
It all boils down to being still shy on camera. If you notice, I keep looking down and everything like that.
Really?
Yeah. It's
oh wow.
I have to amp up. I have to amp up. I mean, I talk a little bit about it back in my older mental health vlogs, but it really is. It's like, you're putting yourself out there. I mean, I have 130 something thousand subscribers, but I still get a couple 100,000 views a month. So I mean, I feel that. I feel those eyes.
Oh yeah.
And it's rough. That's why I brought up the comment thing. It's like, man, sometimes one bad comment can just be like, oh fuck, gut punch.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I do? Do I Streisand effect? Do I bring light to it?
About it? Do you address it? Yeah.
It's like, that's tough.
One thing that's really helped me with like the negative comment stuff is one, it's recognizing that you know, our monkey brains are kind of wired to think like, you know, you see a sea of you can see like literally hundreds of comments being like, you're the best, this was awesome, thank you so much, but you see that one bad one, you're like, why aren't you like the others, why don't you like me, you know? And we just want to try to convince hearts and minds. But then I also kind of take a step back and I'm like, if I only reply to the negative comments or try to like fight somebody on the internet, I'm going to look bad, because then people looking at me, you know, they see that I don't pay attention to the positive ones. I'm only going after the negative ones. So I've had to really kind of, I'll do this all the time, man. Like I'll write up a response to a negative comment and I won't hit post. I'll look at it. I'll think about it. I'll let it simmer for like a good 2-3 minutes. And then I just delete the whole thing. And I just don't get back to them, you know? Because it's so tempting to just be like, you know, trying to rip into people because they said something negative. But it's so important, in my opinion, to not engage with those people, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
what do you think? I'd be curious to hear.
I feel the same way. I don't write it out. I almost want to be like, okay, I'm gonna click this little 3-button thing and hit hide user from channel, and like I'll be good. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to delete the comment, but I also don't want that negativity there, because going back to why I do it, I want people to feel inclusive. But then I'm also hiding people, so I'm like, I can't be doing that.
Yeah, it's tough.
So I just wait for the next 5 good comments to pop up and get rid of that one. So it's tough. It really is. And on top of it, I'm trying to teach somebody how to do like a U-turn or situational awareness. And you do get those people that come in that are like, oh, you're wrong. This person said this, or I'm from this background. I'm a police officer of 47 years. And then they say some weird things. And they're like, I have more experience than you. I've never crashed, never died. I wear nothing but a t-shirt. And
oh, dude, those honestly, like, nothing gets under my skin more than the people who are like, I've been riding for 20 years, I've never crashed. I'm like, to me, that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? To me, that means that either you got really lucky, or it means that you know, maybe you literally just rode one time per year and you didn't crash in 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, how many miles did you put down the saddle? How many times did you put yourself in a situation like on the track or on a trail that you were pushing and having fun? Like, for me personally, this year, I probably dropped or binned my scrambler a good 7 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
on
trails, and
I saw that
with it. Like I was binning that bike left and right, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's so pretty! Don't do that to it." I'm like, "Man, screw it! Like, it's my bike. Like, I'll bin it if I want to bin it." And then the other day, I low sided the RC on the track. Like, I feel like if you are of the mind that you like riding and you like evolving with it, you're gonna have some spills here and there. You know, so to me, those guys that are like, "I've never crashed," I'm like, that doesn't mean anything to me, man.
Yeah, and they just it's really weird how they say something. 'Cause there's been times where I'll say something nice back to them after they say something mean like that, and they're like, "Oh, he responded. Oh, hey man, I really like your stuff." It's just like this
you
flip.
gotta love that one, right?
Yeah. And then there's some times where I'll respond something nice, and then they want to keep it going, and I'm like, okay, then I won't say anymore. But that's kind of how I deal with them sometimes. I'll just say something nice, or they'll be like, I found somebody on a different video. I commented on somebody else's video, and they responded underneath it, and they're like, you know, if you do a crash video on this, I'll unsubscribe you. And I'm like, all right, go ahead.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. Anyways, comments are weird.